in the whole time factor, because I'm guilty of that, thinking like, "Oh my gosh, I need my sleep, so I can't get up early to do that because 'cause I'm too tired." And then if I don't get up early enough, then, life starts, with my kids and the household and just all the things that I'm like, "Well, I didn't have time for that."
Yeah,
But if you, like, turn it a little bit and actually when you take that time and balance and shift from the inner planes, the rest of the day is, like, so smooth and time opens.
yeah, absolutely. I was just on a call to the East Coast prior to this, and the young guy's wife is very ill, and we taught him. He's a very good bouncer, and he knows been bouncing a long time, and he knows. So he would term it praying. He was balancing into her energy, and he was talking about how the whole world changes. The doctors talk to you differently. The people in the hall talk to you differently when you took the time to get in that well place. And his questions were this morning like, well, can it happen that fast? And can it can it be that deep and that profound? Yes. The answer is yes. It, we're the ones who don't believe that the healing can be spontaneous. The universe can do it. It's absolutely can be done.
Yeah. This is taking me to a thought that I think a lot of people would have or have had, maybe if they've been along this path, because it's a conversation my husband and I had not too long ago. But we were talking about a friend of ours who I've known that she's been really burnt out in her job. And um and lately she hasn't had as many clients. And I'm like, "Oh, I could totally see what's happening." Like she's not in it anymore.
Mhm.
Something else is calling her name, but she's trying to just keep going through the motions
Right.
to make it work and make it happen. Okay. The next piece of that is she wants to start her own business in helping people kind of do similar things as I do, helping people shift the emotions, really connect with who they are on the inside and all of that. And she's done all the things. Like she's done the podcast, she's done the courses, she has so much content, but the money isn't coming in. And so she feels like, what is she supposed to do? Because she's been trying all of these things, but not seeing the return. And so she must keep going in her regular job to make the money. And so it's like stuck in the middle. And so my husband and I were having this conversation and he had a valid question. I feel like for most people it's like, well, you have bills to pay. Like you you have to like keep making your job work because you have bills to pay. And to me it wasn't like suddenly just today you have to quit your job, or maybe it is. I've actually done that before and that's what was needed for me. But even like shifting the energy from only money focus to where's the block beneath that? Because it seems like to me, when I see people only going for their job for money or like really, I need to make this work for the money, it doesn't work as easily. So then the question is like, okay, then what do I do? And my husband asked me that. Well, then what are you supposed to do? Just like think positive and suddenly like you're gonna make money. And I'm like, no, not quite, but I want Ross to talk about that one.
Well, thank you. That's a lot of people go through that. Uh, can I, if I do not get back to money, bring me back to money?
Okay.
My discussion would begin with how are you at transition? Do you believe that things have to be bad? Like, the plants all have to die and we have to have a terrible winter in order to have a spring?
That's so good.
Or do you really believe that I can, if I'm going to want to be happy in my life, if I'm going to want to be joyous in my life and fulfilled in my life, then I've got to get okay, and I want the universe to bring me happiness and and okay, we had this a little bit in one of your seminars. Let me just address it now. That there's a lot of talk that you can't make happiness an end goal. Okay, there's a lot of smart people saying those kind of things. How about, but they do not argue about this. If my process of happiness is where I put all my energy, that's where it works, right? The process, is it a healthy process? Is it a healing process? And she would want to go and offer her and be rewarded for and help people with her spiritual gifts and her intuitive gifts. And it would be a pleasant process. Then why wouldn't she start a pleasant process now? And that doesn't mean you have to go jump off your building or sit on the roof in a snowstorm or quit your job and run out of money. How about get real joyous right now? How about find the joy in the clients now? How about happiness in this, in every interchange, in every breath? I'm expanding and getting weller. And then, because that's what you want, and that's what you eventually want. The jobs are just interchangeable.
Yes, I love that.
And yeah, when you get to help people with spiritual healing, yeah, great. But you can do it just as well in your other job too. I mean, I'm not being facetious here. I mean it. I mean, I would ask, how do you believe transitions? And what we would do is we would go back and look at all the transitions of their life. And I can guarantee they've struggled in those transitions with, it's got to get dark, it's got to be tough before it gets, there. And it doesn't.
So this
you have
reminds
beliefs
me
in there that believe it.
Yeah. So this reminds me, speaking of transitions, when I worked in a hospital and was like super stressed out. I mean, not present at home, 2 little kids, always working, pretty much missed out on all the like really younger years. I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
And I recognized through a series of things, my body becoming ill, my mental state was ill, like all the things that there needed to be a change, and I was entering a transition. But I think it was the fear of coming back to money. Like, what am I going to do? Because I have a good job, I make good money, like this is everything I've worked for. But yet I didn't have the freedom that I desired. I didn't have flexibility. I didn't have presence with my family because I had to be somewhere else according to somebody else, like is what I felt at the time. And so moving out of that and then feeling like, okay, there's something else for me, like this is a stepping stone to the next thing, but how do I get to that next thing? So this friend of ours that I was talking about, I think she's actually going through that too. Like, this is where I've been. I'm working late nights, late hours, not present at home. I feel a desire to be more joyful, have more freedom and flexibility in my life, but I can't do that right now because I have to have the money.
Yeah.
So for me, like, and I think for her too, is yes, thinking like this is going to be hard, this is going to be challenging, but I can do hard things. Have you guys heard that? I can do hard things. Like, okay, so but wait, does it have to be hard? It hasn't happened yet. That whole thing. So that goes to that what you were just talking about, Ross. And then I can do it's going to be hard. And then now I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, the fear of not having enough or not being provided for or not knowing where it's going to come from.
Yeah.
But don't you think like the first step is just saying yes to the transition? Like being willing to even go through the transition?
I would say first it's examining. The answer is through.
Yeah.
The answer is not around. It's not adding on a new program. It's through. There's a guy named Holdinger that Carl Jung quoted. Now that would be something to have, your name somewhere that Carl Jung quoted. He quoted Holdinger, and he said that in the danger is the energy of the rescue. And so there's deeper stuff than the fact of the transition there.
Yes.
There's do they think they deserve to be joyful and happy and fulfilled and wealthy and all those things? Or do they believe it has to be hard? Before we got into this little piece, you and I were talking about the act and feeling of wellness, the feeling first of wellness, then the thought of wellness is often very, very uncomfortable for people who've been using their energy elsewhere. And so that person's going to have to, if they think they're going to go from a hard thing to a joyful thing, and that joyful thing is going to last forever because it's brilliant. It's not. The pattern.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is like reminding me of myself.
It's not going to last. The old patterns are going to come up again and again and again and again. And so, the change of season, every time we're in Boise, Idaho, and we had a couple of goofy, beautiful 50, 60-degree days in the middle of winter. And my docket got so full because people started behaving so crazily because they were, the spring transition hit them, and a bunch of old stuff came from their life and came in and said, this is what we always do in spring. Well, it's not spring yet. It's still winter, but they were on automatic and behaviors were coming up and they were all stressed and, like, you got to go. It's springtime. It's time to put crops in. All the sap's rising. They were getting all, the ephemeral energy, this odd energy going. It's like, wait a second. Have you ever been here before? Yeah. It's like, so we have to look at the elements sort of that are attached to the feelings being primary and causal, and subconscious old pattern programs being more causal than that, about what's going on in transitions. Does it have to be hard for you to break through? I have a client who was with a healer in Seattle, and the guy said, so what do you do? He goes, well, I work very hard and they give me all the jobs no one else can do. And I grind at him, and then I'm a success. And the guy said to him, this guy was a wonderful body worker, and he said to him, how about if he answered that question like, I do interesting things and I'm a success? Why isn't that your story?
Right.
And if you think of all the things, all the ego, all the history, all the stuff that gets layered on top of that till you believe that's the only way it can be done.
Yeah.
No, it's the only way you've known to do it, but it's not the only way it can be done.
And so, okay, yeah, let's go with that. So it's not the only way that it could be done, but if you don't know the other ways that it can be done,
you get the right tools and you dive in and you go into uncomfortable places, you journey within yourself. You make it a discipline to journey within yourself.
Yes.